Welcome to MMA Fancast. My name is Luke Pace, and welcome back to everyone who's already a subscriber to the channel. If you're not already a subscriber to the MMA Fancast YouTube channel, please subscribe so you can see more interviews, including the one coming at you right now. Love the nickname, like the fighter even more, Madcat, Cody Matthews. Madcat, welcome back to the show.
Thanks for having me, Luke. Always a pleasure.
Well, I'm happy to hear you say that because it is always fun and a pleasure to have you on. You are just 3 days away from your next professional fight versus Asher Frederick. I've actually had him on a couple times on the show, not as often as you, but obviously I know him and great fighter. This is going to be a great fight. You're fighting for the Ohio Combat League event number 42, December 20th. So you're 3 days away. How are you feeling? What are your thoughts? Just a couple days away from this big fight. You have a professional record of 4-4. So this is your 9th pro fight. Asher has a professional record of 6-2. So this is his 9th pro fight as well. Look at that. You're both in your 9th pro fight. Talk about it. Madcat, not sure if you can hear me. How are you feeling just days away from your fight versus Asher?
Oh, we're feeling great. This has been a really good camp. One of the first camps I've had in a while that I feel like I kind of got a lot of the stuff that I needed. Weight cut's been going good. I've been up here at Bowerhouse now for a little over a year full time. Because back in the day, I was always making the trip, hour and a half, almost 2 hours, 2 times a week. So yeah, I've been up here, been able to get all the training I really need right in house. Do a little bit of cross training here and there as well when I need. But yeah, we're feeling great.
Yeah, I think that makes a big difference. You've talked about that before on the show. Previously, the long drive to Bowerhouse. Now that you're local to Bowerhouse, which is a great idea. You already picked up a great win over David Wilson back in May of this year. So that's obviously things are going in the right direction, coming off a nice decision win. This is your 9th pro fight. This is Asher's 9th pro fight. What do you think about being kind of both of you being established pros? I'd say the first maybe 3 to 4, maybe 5 pro fights, you're kind of establishing yourself, but now you're both at the point where you're quite established. What are your thoughts on this being your 9th and this being his 9th, meaning you've got both of you have more experience at the pro level?
Yeah, you're going to have two guys in there that know what we're doing. This isn't our first rodeo. The only difference I think is that I went pro a little bit before. Well, I think a good bit before he did. I went pro back in 2019. I had to finish up college. I had an injury or two. So now we're really trying to get the ball rolling here, and just kind of keep it going. But yeah, we're two guys that know what we're doing in there. We're both pretty well-rounded guys. So, we're in there to put on a show.
Yeah, obviously, yes. You've been pro longer, but yeah, you've clearly made it work around things. What's it like with the recent move? Are you working a side gig? Like, what's your life like now that you've moved the hour and a half from where you were living to be, full-time focused at Bowerhouse?
Yeah, I still work full time pretty much. While I'm still training 3 hours a day, I'm substitute teaching full time still. I substitute teach times up here. At first, when I came up here, I had another gig. It fell through, went right back substitute teaching the way I've been doing. So, I enjoy it. We're trying to make a little bit of a career change here and there to work with my training schedule some more because right now in my life, that's kind of still what everything revolves around. How I can get the best training and the most training in to suit my MMA career. But yeah, it's been great. I moved to Brunswick originally. I was about 25 minutes away. Then over the summer, I moved to Middletown. Now I'm 10 minutes away. So I went from being an hour and 45 minutes away to 10 minutes away from the gym. I can shoot here and shoot back if I forget something. It's fantastic.
That does make a big difference. I remember you being a substitute teacher when you were first on the show several years ago, back when you got the knockout of the year over Victor Lapari for 247 Fighting Championship. Got to watch that I think I even commented. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I called that fight and got to scream and yell when you won by knockout. Pretty sure I was back then. So back then you were substitute teaching. Didn't know. It's great that you're still set up doing that up here at least for now. And obviously you have to work really hard to be in school all day and then still make your training work. So hats off to you. What are you looking to show as far as the development of your skills? You already mentioned that you feel like you're at the best. At a 4-4 record, you are really at the point where you win one against Asher. You're kind of moving. You've got two in a row now. You're moving. Your previous fight, you were just under the win loss percentage, which nobody wants to be, and you got that big win to get you up. So, what do you think about getting a little momentum going when you get this win?
And that's the thing is, I have a record of 4-4, which most people might hear and think, well, that's a 50-50 fighter. But you gotta look at the guys I've fought. You gotta look at the guys that have beat me. I've never fought someone with a losing record as an amateur or a pro. The guys that beat me, the four guys, one was a high level brown belt as my pro debut. Another guy up at 135 was ranked in Bellator after he beat me.
Yeah.
Jared Harris, over at Cage Warriors, where all the European UFC champs come from. Then Austin Hall beat me recently, about 2 years ago, and that's a guy who's on the verge of going to the UFC right now. So nobody that I've lost to is someone that's just kind of doing this on the side. These are all top of the top, world class guys. And the guys that I beat are the same way. I'm not going to go through all of them for you, but
Right.
I've only fought the best. Asher's up there. Asher is a 6-2 guy. He trains primarily out of a gym in Ohio. I'm blanking on the name, but I know he has some ties to Extreme Couture as well. So I'm a 4-4 fighter, but
Yeah.
my 4-4 record is a lot better than some guys out there records. So, another big win over him, and another big win after that, and I still get a lot of good looks from some decent promotions, and get offered some titles here and there. So while I'd love to be in a better state with my record, this is where we're at, and I'd rather fight the best and have a 4-4 record than beat a bunch of guys that are 0-5 and be 10-0.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely a position you're in because you work really hard. You take on the best opponents. That's why I'd already mentioned Victor Lapari. What I didn't mention at the time is I think your pro record was 1-0 and he was 3-0, and he was training at Extreme Couture and really expecting with a win over you and a couple more to get to the UFC with maybe a 5-0, 6-0 record. I was talking, behind the scenes before the fight. Obviously, you changed some of those plans with your big win over him. Had not looked at the guy you were mentioning, Austin Hall. I think that is a big deal, right? When you don't want to lose to anybody, but when you lose to somebody who's then just an absolute monster and probably UFC bound, it does help legitimize the fact that you are taking on the best opponents possible. And Asher himself, like you mentioned, is a great fighter. And I'm super excited for what you're going to do. Do you have a prediction or like a specific way you want to win this Saturday, as far as what you think could happen?
I'm in there to finish fights. I don't go in there looking for it necessarily, but just like in wrestling, I was a pinner. In MMA, I like to put guys away. That's the objective. Last fight, I got to go the full 15 minutes, which I don't do very often, but it was nice to get in there and actually get that cage time in and work. Last fight wasn't ideal either. I was coming off of uh, partial MCL and meniscus
Oh,
tear in my left knee, and that healed up. I had an elbow infection. That wasn't that bad. And then I had a right shoulder impingement. And then 4 weeks out, I think I did something to my LCL in the other knee a little bit. So I was kind of held together by duct tape the last time. Not taking anything away from my opponent. Baby Hawk's a great fighter. He did in there and he improved a lot from what we'd seen previously.
yeah.
But this is a camp where I've really got to do and not have to worry about my body falling apart on me or thinking, am I going to get hurt when I'm in there from a previous injury? So, I want to go in there and I want to get the finish. Asher's never been finished as a professional, so it's not like it's an easy task to do. I'm sure he wants to do the same to me. But yeah, I want to go in there and win any way I can. I don't go in there with single-mindedly. I go in there with a brief game plan, and we make moves where we have to.
Yeah, it's a like you said, mindset, great game plan to have. You go in there with a goal and you work hard towards it. Anybody that's willing to balance what is a full-time job as well as training full-time, moving, all the things you've done, you really prioritize this. That's why it's always fun. I have had you on several times. Enjoy having people from Bowerhouse on this. Have a great relationship with your one of your coaches, Coach Rob, and so it's always fun anytime I can follow you or anybody at Bowerhouse. Thanks so much for coming on. 3 days out, huge fight for Ohio Combat League, December 20th. Always fun to have you on the show. This is Luke Payson from MMA Fancast with the one, the only, the Madcat, Cody Matthews. Thanks so much for coming on the show, bud.
Thank
Take care. And oh,
you.
Merry Christmas to everybody. I completely forgot. We're only a few days away from Christmas, or as I like to say at Christmas. So Merry Christmas to everybody. Best skills in the fight. God bless you, sir.
Thank you, you too.
You got it, brother.